Yeah, he's done a nice job. He kicked again today, so he's kicked twice now. I just like his approach, his mentality, and can't wait to see what happens in the game.
So what is, I know Andy asked you a few days ago if you might change your strategy. At what point do you have comfort? I mean, is a few practices enough comfort to
I don't think you truly know what you're going to do until you get into the situation. You might have a plan in regards to. I've never been involved in a football game where you haven't gone in with, hey, if we get to this yard line, we're going to kick a field goal. That's always the case, but certainly there's circumstances that dictate your decision making in terms of weather, score, just I'd say the complexion of the game. So until we get in that moment, I don't know what we're going to do.
Braden to be able to make that part of the decision of knowing what,
I've seen enough to be confident in him. So if that's what you're asking, do I have confidence in him? Absolutely, I do. I know Rich, Byron, and Kyle, and as well as our scouting department, really liked him coming out of college. So he was a guy that was on a short list of people that they would like to work with, and when he became available, obviously you saw what we did. We scooped him up.
How's Marshawn looking? I know, obviously with him.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll give him the week to watch him as he progresses. Certainly we're going to be smart with him, and he was limited today, but he's doing more and more, and we'll see where he's at.
Almost the same thing as a kicker. How do you have full trust in a guy who didn't get to go through a whole bunch of situations with you? Or we did it all the OTAs. Is that enough to some extent in this limited training camp?
Yeah, I think as long as we're smart about what we're asking him to do, I mean, certainly we don't want to give him something that he's never done before. I think that's unfair to the player. I think you always got to, teach him, put him through it, and then have that confidence that he can go execute that in the game. So we will be smart with him, but we certainly won't give him anything that he's never done before.
So is Willis able to take all your scout team stuff? Do you want him to do the scout team stuff? Does he give you a little bit of a look like Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought both he and Sean are splitting those, or not necessarily splitting, but getting all those reps. It's just how we split those up. I think both those guys did a nice job today, and we'll see how it goes throughout the course of the week. I know they're both putting in extra work post-practice because typically, you give your starting quarterback the bulk of the reps. It's always hard being a backup, just not getting your reps are the look team reps.
Take the week to decide who's going to be the...
Yes. Yep. But the goal, like I told all those guys, whether you're on the 53 or you're on the practice squad, your job is to prepare as you're the starter. I mean, in reality, that's not always the case, obviously, but I expect every man in that room, if you're wearing a Green Bay Packer uniform, you got to get ready to go play a football game.
Matt, what's your message to your team about just the transportation, the logistics, and everything about this trip?
We're focused on the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, that's all that's in our control, and that's what we're going to worry about, and that's what we're going to focus on ourselves, getting ourselves prepared to go play a really good football team. I mean, they're loaded with talent, got a lot of respect for their coaches in terms of what they do schematically, and so if we're looking at anything else, then we're doing ourselves a disservice.
Faced Fangio different defenses a bunch over the years because he's got such a long track record. Does it make it easier to project what they might do, or do you think he might tinker a bit because of who he's got? How does that work generally?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of unknowns come week one. I think in terms of first of all, I think Vic is one of one. There's a lot of guys that have tried to copy and emulate his scheme, and some guys have had success, but not to the level that he's had. And he's one of the best in the game. And so it's going to be a great challenge. He does a great job of being able to take what you want to do and take it away. And he keeps you off balance. He's got enough within his scheme. And then you couple that with the fact that these guys have a lot of good players on the defensive side of the ball, particularly up front. It poses quite the challenge.
And so they look vastly different? I mean, you just played them in 22, but both their coordinators left after that. Do they look like a very different team than you saw?
Well, it's really hard to say because they've had some guys. I mean, a lot of guys, or some of the guys didn't play in the preseason. Sweat didn't play, Huff didn't play, Slay didn't play. So, and I'm sure they didn't unleash everything that they have in their arsenal. So, I think week one's always it's a guessing game in some respect. I think that's why you really got to focus on what you do and knowing your rules inside and out, knowing the details of what you're trying to get done, and that's what we've emphasized to our guys. And then certainly it comes down to adjustments. You're going to have to adjust week one. At some point within the game, you're going to have to adjust, and whoever can typically do that better will probably win the game.
You used the word unleashed. What about with your defense? What they play? The starters played, what, 8 snaps? You joked about Jeff's call sheet that one game being like three calls. How excited are you to see what that group is able to do in a game that actually counts?
Yeah, I think I'm excited I think everybody's excited to see the start of the regular season. We always are, and certainly I know there's a lot of expectations, and we're not going to run from those, and all we can do is control the work that we put in on a daily basis. I think the attitude, the energy, and I thought we had a good solid practice. Was far from perfect, but you got to make the corrections and move on, and we're certainly excited for this game.
How does Jordan Morgan look back on the practice field?
He's doing a nice job. He's working hard, and we'll see.
Matt, you've had some openers where you didn't have a healthy roster. I know you lost AJ and Tyler, but to have all 53 guys plus the practice squad practicing, what does that do for you going into a season?
Yeah, I think this is one of the healthiest we've ever been here. So that's a credit to everybody in this building. Obviously, credit to the players for working hard, and I think just from a medical staff, obviously, and a training staff, I think everybody's done a nice job.
You fired up for those in-game interviews?
I don't know what you're talking about.
In the grand scheme of things, Jordan had already started.
It's going to be very short answers. I can promise you that.
Might be.
Yes. All right. Let me go back to game planning or thinking about what we got to get done.
Can I go now?
Yeah, I guess. Sure, Tom. Sorry to interrupt you, Tom. I apologize.
In the grand scheme of things, Jordan had already started a game, but that short performance in Philly, did that do anything for him?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think just it was cool to see. Obviously, the game was a tight game. I think he went in when we were down 10 or something like that, and although it didn't finish the way we wanted it to, just to see the poise that he went in, like you could tell the moment wasn't too big for him. I certainly felt that from him in the moment. And he goes in there and he has success. Obviously, he had the big pass to Christian, but he just looked so poised to me, and I thought that was, a big sign that he's ready to roll.
Good.
All right, we'll see y'all.